Hello students, here we are discussing about the chapter 13 of class 8 NCRT types of resources. What is resources? A resource is a substance in the environment that is useful to people in economically and technologically feasible to access and socially acceptable to use. Resources include soil, water, food, plants, animal and minerals. All that component were called resources, whatever it is, soil, water, food, plants, which were fulfill our needs were called a resource. A resource is a source of supply, support or aid, especially one that can be readily drawn upon when needed. Whatever we were required, whatever we want to do, whatever we needed were called a resource. So classification of resource on we were classified resources on the basis of origin, on the basis of exhaustibility, on the basis of ownership, on the basis of state of development. On the basis of origin, biotic resources are obtained from biosphere and by have a life such as human being, flora and fauna, fisheries, livestock. Abiotic resources includes all those things which are composed of non-living things like rock and metals. So here we can say biotic resources first come from living things and abiotic resources come from non-living things, like whatever the crops, fruits and all these were called the biotic resources, and abiotic resources were called like minerals, rocks, bricks, all that. Okay, on the basis of origin, biotic resources and biotic resources, here we can see that fishes, plants, pandas or whatever it is, and that type of abiotic resources are minerals, like diamond, coal, charcoal, etc., etc., other type of rocks. On the basis of exhaustibility, renewable resources are those resources which can be renewed or reproduced by physical, chemical, or mechanical process. Solar and wind energy, water forces, and wildlife, etc. Renewable resources may further be divided into continuous or flow resources, example wind, water, biological resources, which are of two types: natural vegetation, forest or wildlife. Renewable resources are those resources basically which were reproduced by physical or chemical or mechanical processes. Okay, like solar and wind energy, they are comes from renewable resources. On non-renewable resources, we can say that non-renewable resources may further be divided into continuous और flowless, जो कि हमें वापस से renew नहीं होगा. Wind, water, है ना, बेसिकली दैट टाइप ऑफ. और बायोलॉजिकल रिसोर्सेज में हम क्या कह सकते हैं? नेचुरल वेजिटेशन, वाइल्ड लाइफ आर बायोलॉजिकल रिसोर्सेज, है ना. नॉन रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज आर formed over a substance long geological time. Example minerals and fossil fuel, दे आर नॉन रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज. मतलब एक टाइम पर अगर ये ख़त्म हो गए तो उसके बाद वापस से रिन्यू नहीं किए जा सकते, लेकिन जो सोलर एनर्जी, विंड एनर्जी है वो लगातार हमें मिल रही है, कंटिन्यूसली हमें मिल रही है, तो उन्हें रिन्यू किया जा सकता है. ओके, तो हियर वी कैन सी इन फोटोग्राफ्स रिन्यूएबल और नॉन रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेज. ओके, on the basis of ownership, individual resources are resources that are owned privately by individuals. Example, land owned by farmers allotted by the government against the payment of revenue. Plantation, pasture land, ponds, water in wells owned by individual. Plots, house and other properties owned by people in the city. Community resources are resources accessible to all the member of community. Example, village commons, grazing ground, burial ground, village ponds, public park, picnic spot and playground are urban areas. So here we can say ownership or divided the resources in two part, individual or community. Individual basically the homes, schools or whatever there was a single person which were on the land were called individual resources, or community resources which were socialized. All of the social members were use that resource, so it will called community resource. On the basis of ownership, national resource are all the resource that belongs to a nation. Example: road, canal, railway, etc. Minerals, water resource, forest, wildlife. They are called national resource. Land within the political boundaries, territorial water, and the resource within the term territorial water refers to the oceanic area up to 12 nautical miles, 19.2 kilometers from the coast. The country has legal power to acquire even private property for public goods. So public goods के लिए कंट्री के पास एक पावर होती है, हमारी गवर्नमेंट के पास एक पावर होती है कि वो जो प्रॉपर्टी है जो कि प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टीज़ है उन्हें एक्वायर कर सके अर्बन एरिया के डेवलपमेंट के लिए। जैसे कि बहुत सारी जगहों पे आप देखते हो कि गवर्नमेंट को अगर कहीं से रोड बनाना है, रेलवे लाइन बनानी है या फिर कुछ बनाना है, तो वो उसे बनाने के लिए सब कुछ, किसी का भी कोई प्राइवेट घर ही क्यों ना आ रहा हो, उसे भी हटा देती है और बाद में उस बंदे को उसका जो भी उसका कंपनसेशन है वो मिल जाता है। ओके, ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ ओनरशिप पे एक और पार्ट आता है इंटरनेशनल रिसोर्सेज। देयर आर आल्सो इंटरनेशनल रिसोर्सेज रेगुलेशन रिसोर्सेज। द ओशन रिसोर्सेज बियॉन्ड 200 kilometers of the exclusive economic zone belongs to upon ocean, and no individual countries can utilize this without the concessions of international institutions. On the basis of the state of development, potential resources are resources found in a region which have not been utilized. Example: wind and solar energy development potential in the state of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Developed resources are those resources which are surely and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. The development of resources, however, depends on technology and level of their feasibility. On the basis of the state of development, stock refers to materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy human needs, but human beings do not have the appropriate technology to access this. Example: water is a compound of two inflammable gases, hydrogen and oxygen, which could be used as a rich source of energy if we had the required technical know-how. Hence, it can be considered as stock. Okay. Resources are the subset of the stock which are yet to be put into use with the help of existing technical know-how. This can be used for meeting future requirement. Example: river water can be used for generating hydroelectrical power for the, because dams also were used for hydroelectric power. They were reserved, जो कि रिज़र्व रखी जाती है बच्चे। स्टॉक में रखना, रिज़र्व रखना अलग बात है। रिज़र्व में क्या बात हो रही है, सब ये एक सबसेट है स्टॉक का। रिजर्वेशन में हम क्या करते हैं, हम पानी को बचा के रखते हैं डैम्स वगैरह में और उससे हाइड्रो इलेक्ट्रिकल पावर जनरेट करते हैं। इट इज़ बीन यूटिलाइज ओनली टू अ लिमिटेड एक्सटेंट, एक लिमिटेड एक्सटेंट तक ही यूटिलाइज किया जा सकता है। दस द वाटर द डैम इज़ अ रिजर्व विच कैन बी यूज इन द फ्यूचर। ओके, थैंक यू।